Out of here. Remnant 2 scores. Very interesting set of dynamics here. Speaks a lot to scores and Metacritic altogether. But I thought it was important to put this up here for y'all to see because this goes with my philosophy on how I tell y'all should handle scores. So everybody that I know that I've talked to that have played this game, or places where I've seen where famous people have played this game, they're all saying the same thing. They're saying that Remnant 2 is such a significant upgrade from Remnant 1. However, when you look at the Metacritics, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. Now I'm using PC, for example, because this is going to be the de facto way for me. I feel that you can play Remnant. So I think PC will be the most, what do you call them? The most stable way to look at this game. Because this Gunfire is a PC developer at heart. It's only 2 Metacritic scores higher. But when you look at this, now granted, there's 42 critics. When you look at this, most of the significant people liked 1, but then they give 2 a higher score. Most of the significant people. The problem is, and these are the people that I follow the most, is Destructoid. Destructoid, if I'm on the fence about something, I usually go to Destructoid and they resemble my tastes in games. But when you go to look at who didn't like the game, I think the 2 biggest hits were Game Rant and GameSpot. And here's what they say. Ultimately, Remnant 2 still hits more than it misses. The mishmashing of 2 wildly different styles of games still largely succeeds despite not being an entirely clean fusion. And best of all, Gunfire Games has expanded the foundation laid by the first game into something that is truly unique and interesting. Remnant 2 is still rough around the edges, but its interesting worlds, incredible procedural generation system, and variety of playstyles do enough to hold up a game that might not always feel as refined or intuitive as the inspirations it draws from. Let's see what Game Rant said last time. Game Rant gave it a 90 last time opposed to a 70 this time. And they said there are some minor quality of life changes that could be made to make the game even better, but it is still one of the best games of the year regardless, especially when played in co-op. How does this go from a 90 to a 70? But, okay, let's go look at Game Informer. Strong systems and a satisfying gameplay loop give Remnant from the Ashes a powerful foundation, even if the experience is mired in repetitive, uninteresting bosses and environments. The first 10 hours are challenging and intriguing, leaving you ferocious for more loot, more bosses, and more traits. After that, some of the wonder vanishes as you relive, relive past glories rather than continuing to forge new ones. Let's see what they say now. Remnant 2 is exactly what you want from a sequel, such as the way it expands and improves upon the game's first ideas. It's not likely to blow you away, but the core gameplay loop built on rewarding combat and ever-expanding repertoire of skills and abilities and randomness of its procedural generation latches and refuses to let go. The final realm is disappointing because of an artificial difficulty spike, and the story is still lackluster and easy to ignore, but those looking for a solid, malleable shooter won't go far wrong with Remnant 2. How do you lace your review with these things that basically say the game is better than what you offered before, but our scores are significantly worse, 15 to 20 points worse? This is why I don't prescribe to an aggregate score even to these mainstream places, because they make no sense. that utterly the game is better than what it was before. There are still flaws, but even though it's better than the last installment, it gets a worse score. That's essentially what they're saying. It makes no sense, except you're trying to artificially downplay the game so it doesn't score as high as other stuff that you want to score higher. Sorry for the mic hit. This is why I say you cannot listen to Metacritic when you're trying to decide whether you should get a game. I think Metacritic is a great judge on whether a game has universal appeal, which is important. But if you're deciding for your particular tastes, because you're not a universal thing, you're you, an individual, you need to go and find reviewers that match what you like. Now, with that said, let's see if I can find Destructoid and what they said about the original. Okay. Let me show you something that is fathomable. This is Destructoid. They said Gunfire Games has some really good ideas that I hope to see employed more often in the future. Let's read the full review. Let's take a look at the full review. Or let's just look at the summary. They give it a 7. They say it's good. I said, I found myself just playing it for hours on in solo or with random and not feeling phased. Multiplayer is one of the Remnant's biggest strengths, as it allows you to create assets or join to gain the loot. It says Remnant from the Ashes takes too long to get where it's going, but when it does, it lets it rip. The randomization element is too half-baked to really propel this project above the rest of its ilk, but Gunfire Games has really has some really good ideas. Okay, that's what they said before with the first one. They really weren't enjoying the first one all like that. They said it was good. But I mean, they were enjoying it, but they really didn't like acclaim it. Here's what they've said now. Again, also agreeing that the game is better. But here's what Destructoid says now. It says, at times it can be extremely challenging experience, even on the easiest difficulty, but that's also what makes it so rewarding when you finally kill that boss and obtain its loot. Let's see its final review this time. The final review on Remnant 2, the final, let's see. What the hell? Why can't I? Okay, this is, if you are a fan of Remnant from the Ashes, chances are you already plan to pick up Remnant 2. If you haven't played the original but are a fan of Souls games or even like games like Risk of Rain, this will be right up your alley. At times it can be an extremely challenging experience, even one, but that's what, okay. It says, I can honestly say I can't wait to jump in with friends and work together and try to optimize each other's builds as a coherent team. Overall, Remnant 2 is a sequel done right. As I said, Remnant 2 does have some flaws. The main story feels lackluster, and the randomization can be very easy lead to a not so fun experience, but these are essentially the same flaws from Remnant Ashes had on a lesser scale. Gunfire Games took the highlights from the original game, the gunplay, the boss fights, the build variety, and amplified them. So they're saying basically what everybody else has been saying, except they did the reasonably sound thing and gave it a better score. This is why you can't listen to these. They have agendas. And it was just proven right there. Remnant from the Ashes. I am playing in day 1. I am getting it on NVIDIA Geforce Now Ultimate, where I can play up to 4K Ultra, hopefully over 100 frames per second. We'll see. It'll be 60 plus frames per second, I feel. This is going to be a hell of an experience. I can't wait to get a hold of it on the 25th. Y'all be there with me. Y'all watch me here. I'll be playing it here. I'll be playing it on my other platforms. And then we'll be doing quality stream series where it'll be in like 4K Ultra and all that other stuff. But again, I just wanted to show that to y'all for some of y'all that were looking at the Metacritic, that flocked to Metacritic and looked at that, maybe said, that game looks like it sucks. No. Or it's not that much better than before. Again, the ultimate proof will be in the pudding when we play it. But this is why you can't trust these scores individually. I mean, you can't trust these scores at an aggregate level. Understand what's going on, the agendas that are being held, and find, if you're on the fence about this game or about any game, find a reviewer or a set of reviewers. Take 5 games. This is what you do. You take 5 games that you liked. Number one, you find a review site or a publication that agrees with you on the atypical games, and then particularly take 5 games that you like, that people were like, oh, that's trash, or that you thought were overhyped. Like mix and match them, like 3 that people thought were trash that you liked, and 2 that you felt were overhyped. And you go to different publications that agree with you on the majority of the games that are out there, or good set of them, on the main games. And those that agree with you, oh yeah, so and so is overhyped or buy. That's how I came to Destructoid. I felt like they agree with me on the more peculiar stuff and the general stuff more than anybody else. Now, I didn't fall in line with their original Remnant score. I gave Remnant an 8. I think Remnant is an 8, the first one. We'll see what the second one is. But the second one is my most anticipated game of this year, so I'll be playing that day one.